Hey, happy New Year's Eve, Xylem team. I hope you guys had an amazing holiday with your family and friends. This video we made just as a companion to the email that was just sent out. So you should have received not only a copy of this presentation, but also a copy of our responses to the feedback that you provided us. So this is just a video, it's just to do a quick sort of intro to the analysis as you dive into it to help you understand our point of view on everything. So jumping right in, we were able to recategorize the feedback into basically 13 categories that impact the FPX implementation or product. So we've broken this down into 3 key areas. So one of the areas is what we consider project type items. So these are items that are typically would be addressed in any implementation. In this case, we're talking about the way that the user or customer interacts with the system, which would be a UI change, or in the case where we've been having a lot of conversations with Xylem dealing with a translator to pull in the tremendous amount of data that you currently have in various systems and translate that into how we would structure that within our capabilities. So again, a lot of those are, we would normally address these anyway in a typical implementation, blueprinting or discovery phase. The other areas that we have would fall into more of these are the standard features of our product, or these are items that would fall into a product release roadmap. And so we've identified those out in a way to have at least group these together in a way that makes sense. So these all deal with really the product and either how it works or how it will work in the roadmap. And then the last one deals with more of a philosophy, I want to say, is a word that we were kind of tossing around as we talked about this. But really, it's the fundamental nature in which, or how FPX will actually operate as a platform for you in the future. And so we have a rules-driven model, which is opposed a bit to the data-driven model that's been in place at Xylem for some time. We have an integrated selector and a configurator, and some of the comments around runtime performance. And so that really are fundamental to the way we operate. So we've grouped those together in another section as well. So just keep this in mind as you begin reviewing our responses. But some great news that I think is really important to share is that 27 of the 42 items are covered. Either they're out-of-the-box capabilities, they're standard feature capabilities within the platform that's delivered during a normal configuration of an implementation, or these are actually things that were already on our product management roadmap, or you've recommended them based on your needs, and we agree. We think this would have applicability for other clients that we have. So these are getting rolled into the product management release. Now, I think it's important as we move together in our relationship that we want to make sure we're fully aligned around the product management release and the Xylem roadmap, because we know that there's going to be certain product lines, certain global regions, there's going to be certain systems that we're going to be replacing, there's certain data systems and sources we're going to be tying into. So we want to make sure that if there are critical product management release items that need to be in place for that initial proof of concept or pilot phase or phase 1, that we want to get aligned around that. Now, however, if some of those product management items are beyond that timeline, then we can introduce a joint development approach where we can actually share some of the costs around pulling those in and expediting those product management releases into an earlier date to meet your needs as well. So that's something we'd love to have a deeper conversation with to align with. So for some of the other items, they fall into a couple other categories. Whether it be a need more info, we just need to do a discovery workshop to dive into these to really make sure that we fully understand what category these would then fall into in the other factors that we discussed, or they're truly just implementation specific requirements that will net it out in a blueprinting or design discovery phase. I will mention though in this section that on a few of these UI UX, there's 5 that have been identified here that we actually consider some of these as custom implementations for you for a unique UI UX experience, but some we would actually consider and could be rolled into the product management releases. So we think there's some really good suggestions in there. So that's just, it'll take the next step of discovery to really identify which ones of these would flow into that product management release and which ones would remain more of a custom UI. So we have 4 suggested next steps. So number 1, and this is probably the most foundational one, is to come to an agreement on the data-driven, rules-driven approach. There was some feedback that was very critical of the way that we modeled data and managed rules within our platform. And I think there was definitely a point of view provided by us from members of the Xylem CPQ team that the approach that we have is not suitable for what they've built internally. And so I think what we're trying to come across here is not really say it's an either or situation, but we're actually coming to the table saying that we are data driven, absolutely data driven. It's just that the way that we structure it in our platform, that the rules that are used to model all the combination data is actually quite transparent. And because of that, after we do the translation of the Xylem data into our system, there's actually going to be far fewer rows and amount of data that's needed to be stored, because most of it's going to be based on these rules that someone's modeling, our knowledge engineers are modeling into the Select Your Knowledge Builder. So again, I think it's definitely, we need to basically, we got to come to an understanding on this, because it's a base philosophy between the members of the Xylem CPQ team and our organization that feels like it's an impasse. And so we're not going to be able to become a fully data-driven platform the way that they're asking. So that's not going to change on our side. So the path forward is going to be coming to an understanding that the idea that we've structured this based upon 100 plus different implementations of other pump companies in the industry, that this is best practice. And so we need to find a way that we can get common ground on that moving forward. And so this is probably a really key next step in order for us to get this right. It's actually going to drive all the other ones, all the other asks in this section. So that's number 1. And I believe that we can do it, right? I believe that there's going to be a hybrid approach here that's going to make a lot of sense for all parties involved, and really make the opportunity for Xylem to be able to have a set of data that's easily maintainable, easily managed, more aligned with industry best practices, and overall be a much better solution for what you're trying to accomplish. All right, then after that, if we can get past that conversation, then FPX will look to provide a level of effort based on some of the items that are considered out of the box or no gaps featured. So it'll be more of a high, medium, low type approach. So we understand at least the level of effort that would be looking to get those deployed in the solution. Now, for determining the level of effort for all of the other capabilities and requirements and items listed out in the feedback, we're going to suggest a paid discovery engagement. So this is typically what we would do on a phase 0. We call it the blueprinting or design phase. If Xylem decides to move forward with FPX, this will obviously slide naturally into the POC. I think we're at several hundred hours invested into this pursuit. And so in order for us to really get the right people on the project dedicated to getting this level of detail that you're asking for, it really will require a paid engagement for us to sit down and get this sorted out for you. So we would highly suggest that, if that's possible, to move forward with that type of an engagement. And then the last thing is let's find some time where we can actually schedule a time for our CEO and members of your executive team. I know that there were several people that we had mentioned in the past about getting in touch with Richard and having a meeting. But if the other things are lined up and ready to go, I think it probably makes sense to reach out and ask for that. So again, Xylem team, thank you so much for the opportunity to participate in this POC. Please review the spreadsheet for our detailed response to each one. We anxiously await your response to this and working through next steps with you to ensuring that you have the right platform for what you're trying to accomplish as an organization, to be able to take what you've built so far to simplify the user experience, to make this a single face to all users everywhere, to make this a very simple to easy to use tool for all your customer and distributor reps that are in the marketplace, to really ease the integration burden that you have on all the back ends, to reduce that down from 60 to one system, to really make this something that's very special, make this SCPQ solution something that's industry leading. And we'd love to partner with you. We greatly look forward to working out the next steps, and we'll talk to you next year.